Growing up here has really totally dictated the way I want to live. The importance of simplicity to me, I've molded my whole life around it, and in my work, I knew I wanted to have this as my base. I have such a sense of place here, and from that comes my sense of design and everything else.
Can you tell us a little bit about your grandmother, Lucy Ferguson?
Lucy was an unbelievable grandmother and an unbelievable person. She was such a conservationist on Cumberland, number one, and it was like being with Peter Pan when I was a child. We would go out alligator calling at night, we'd go out poacher hunting, we would go watch the sea turtles lay their eggs. As a child, she was just incredible. I mean, she taught us every bird track, where they were going, what kind of bird or animal it was, when they were moving, how fresh the tracks were, and I attribute everything that that I know about Cumberland and probably my jewelry designing because of her. I remember walking on the dunes in the Interdune Meadow. That's where there's a lot of sort of travel. And usually early in the morning or when they're starting to move, just at sunset when they're feeding. And so she would always take us out then. And and then you start looking at these tracks and they become not only tracks and there's a purpose and you're able to identify them, but they also become just incredible patterns. Just the sort of herringbone shape of a bird's foot becomes a whole pattern up the dune, or the ghost crab scattering up is a whole other sort of polka dot. And that's how I look at things. So whether it's the lichen on a tree or the ferns below that, I tend to start looking at them as patterns and incorporating them into some kind of fabric design or jewelry design or whatever. And if I find the complete white skeleton of a rattlesnake, I sometimes will sit down right there and start working with it, or I'll bring the whole thing back, like I did the horse, which is now hanging on our side porch. And I'll just sit there and work with the designs, because first of all, I just want to study how perfectly beautiful they fit together, anatomically. But then to take them apart and sort of reverse the ribs, as I did with the logo, I just thought it was just absolutely beautiful, and it worked either going round this way or it worked going this way. The raccoon penis bone, which has become a huge hit. It's an interesting shape. It looks just like a saxophone. And the old timers, it worked for my grandmother. She raised cattle here, and so she had a lot of ranch hens. They would go out coon hunting at night, and they all wore them on their belts, and they'd whittle one end down, and they called them Dixie whistles, and they used them as toothpicks.
When did you decide to make a business creating jewelry?
I had been married, and briefly, I had Hannah the second year, and I was beginning to think about, starting this business. I was sort of forced into it as a single mom. I came back down to Cumberland, Hannah in one bag, my clothes in another, and I worked, whatever it took I had 2 jobs at the inn to make ends meet. And I just decided then, and I don't know what it was was a sense of taking control of my life, I guess, and that was a good thing. And then it was just the timing. I just had the courage to sort of step in and start this business, and I had a little studio, very tiny little studio that people would come over and see my bones, which were all natural then still. And it slowly started selling. It was amazing. People were just wanting to have a piece of Gogo's jewelry. The early things were very simple. I couldn't afford, gold or silver or even jewelry wire for that matter. So I used fishing line. I would go to the Hardee's hardware store in Trinity and get little brass ferrules, they're called little spacers. And I would basically, if a strand of shark vertebrae washed in, that's what I used.
Hannah and Gogo, what do you see as the role of family in your business?
It is just so incredible that we are able to sort of live here as a family, work as a family, and carry on so many of the traditions from my grandmother's generation on down. It plays a huge role in our lives. And I mean, it's very unique. People don't understand how we can live on this remote island or work, you know, as closely as we do. And for us, it's just so natural. And always has been.
It is, and I think it's ever evolving in a way because, you know, originally it was you and Dad and myself, and now there's my husband Ben, and we're all working together in whatever capacity that day.
Yeah.
And
and playing really important parts
absolutely.
to each one.
We design a lot more, I think, when we're together actually, because whether it's a piece that I found or, you know, and I might not know how I want to use it in a piece of jewelry or vice versa, obviously being together, you're automatically going to come up with something. It's like, what did you find the other day? That beautiful network of veins from the palm?
Oh, I know. Yeah, that was fantastic.
You know, I thought immediately a hair, you know,
Yeah.
a hair clip would be amazing.
I would never have thought of it, but just this wonderful sort of
kind of fashioned after an old hat.
It's like the
but
dried veins of the inside of a cactus, basically, is what it is. And it's just this beautiful network of pattern, and I hadn't thought about it as a hair piece of some kind, but it would be absolutely beautiful.
the barnacle ring, you know,
I was
when
like,
that
nah,
first came
it's
out,
not
she was
gonna work.
I will never wear that, and it's, you know, it's
Biggest seller we have,
and it's
by the way.
huge
And I
seller.
do wear one now.
And she
but
wears it all the time.
I've just never been sort of, I mean, it's a big bling ring, basically. Fantastic. I just thought, nah, it's not going to sell. Sure enough,
I think
we
the
couldn't
thing is,
stop, you know, I mean, we couldn't get them in fast enough.
Yeah, and I think the thing is to never, you know, to at least give it a chance. Have a
That's sort of that
Have a
mother-daughter
prototype.
thing that happens sometimes where it's like, you know, I just will say no for whatever reason. I don't really know why, but she works on me, and I usually acquiesce because you know you were right on the barnacle. Wow. There's no place like this, you know, even after traveling to a lot of sort of exotic spots, it is so wonderful to just take your shoes off, put your feet in the ground on Cumberland and realize this is my home. This is where I feel the most natural and the most comfortable.